Good afternoon once again. Today we want to look at the topic security and safety of stock. The specific objective related to this topic are: one, to identify various security systems that can be applied in a store, describe conditions leading to fire break and fire spread and how to control them, explain measures that ensure safety of both storekeepers and the stock, and lastly, to state the legal requirements regarding safety of personnel in stock. This topic is essential and one of the most important aspects that are necessary as far as storekeeping is concerned, because every storekeeper in the world is always concerned about the safety of the goods that they have, as well as their own personal security. Therefore, we are going to look at the physical security as regards the custody of the keys, the access of stores, and the identifications as regards store access. Two, we are also going to look at administrative systems and procedures concerning securities. And we're going to look at the design of records and authorizations. We're also going to look at fire prevention and firefighting equipment. How are they necessary and useful as far as stores management is concerned? Fourth, we are going to look at safety of stocks. Stocks represent the goods or the materials that are kept in the stores. We are going to look at them in terms of deterioration, or that is the lowering of quality of such materials. We're going to look at climatic conditions that may endanger or may pose a challenge or damage to the stock. We're also going to look at pilferage. Pilferage is theft or losses experienced as a result of action of the storekeepers and the staff that work within the stores. We're also going to look at insects and animals. We're also going to look at biological issues. Fourth, we're going to look at the safety of the storekeepers, the clothing that they are supposed to wear. We're also going to look at the various fire kits that are necessary to protect the store and the goods that are within. We're also going to look at legal requirements as regards safety and security of goods within a store. We're also going to look at Health Acts, Safety Acts, Workmans Compensation Act, among others. So after the end of this talk, you should be well endowed with the various issues that pertains to effective stores management, with the aim of keeping secure those goods and materials that are within, and ensuring the security of the staff that are within the stores. So as yet, there is no one logging into the portal, but as soon as there shall be someone in the portal, will be able to proceed with the key activities that are necessary here. There'll be quizzes that I'll be presenting for attempt or for evaluation. At the same time, I'll give a forum for discussion, as well as other activities, assignments that you'll be able to take and to do for the purpose of your evaluation. Welcome to the unit and for this conference. Thank you. You are not hearing me well, you can always tell me. You can write there on the public chat, and you definitely will be together. So the first thing I stated was you were not there. I was just giving that recording. So in case anyone comes, they will always get something to hook up to. So I said that the objective of safety and security of any stores is that to ensure that items, goods, stocks, materials that are kept in a store are always safe. That is very important because all these items, they cost money. Someone paid for them and ensured that they were there. So they must be secured so that there is no losses, there are no damages, there are no theft. So one objective that we need to look at is identify various security systems that can be applied in a store. So what are the security systems that can be applied in a store? That's what we are going to look at. And then also we can describe the conditions that leads to fire outbreaks and how fire spread and methods of controlling them. That is very important. The third objective is to explain the measures that can be used to ensure safety of both the storekeeper and the stock or the materials. That you need to be able to be safe as a storekeeper, and the items within that particular store need to be kept safe. And fourthly, we need to state the legal requirements regarding safety of personnel and stocks. Now, these are government legislations. They are legislations that have been put in place to ensure the safety of workers, especially the storekeepers. Normally, the government set laws and regulations that can be can ensure the safety of anyone working in a warehouse or a store. Now, the first thing we want to look at are security systems. Security systems in a store. One key security issue are the custody of the key. You know, every storehouse must have a key that opens and closes that store. And these keys is normally in the custody of one person, who is the one responsible for ensuring that these items or the keys are safe. Why is it important to ensure the safety or the custody of the key is with one person? Because of accountability. If you give the key to the store to two people or more than one person, for example, then sometimes you will not be able to trace and know and find out when something happens, or when maybe there is a loss, or maybe there is a damage, or you may not be able to trace. So therefore, the custody of the keys must be with a particular person to ensure that items are safe. So you'll require an account from the person who holds that key. Are we together? Good. So in many stores around the world, one important thing is the person to hold the key. Secondly, we have access to the store. Who is supposed to access the stores? So in many stores, you find that they would write a notice and say that unauthorized persons not allowed. Why? Because they want to minimize or to limit the number of people who can access the store, who can come into that particular storehouse. Why is that necessary? So that the traffic to the stores are monitored and limited. And at times you might be wondering, why do they just allow people to come into the store? Because people come, different characters come, but some have evil intention of sneaking away with goods or items. So if you don't limit the number of people accessing the store, then you can also you can lose goods. Then stores, how do you access the stores? Sometimes it requires that there is one particular entrance, and that entrance at times needs to be secured. You need to maybe post a security guard there, or you can use scanners onto the door, or you can be able to place closed circuit TV cameras to monitor entries, those who come in and those who go out. So that's very important to consider. Another key security issue is identification. Identification is important because it's a requirement for those who enter into the store or who come within the premises of the storehouse. They need to identify themselves. They need to state who they are. So very important. You identify the persons that come into the store. Even the storekeepers, the staff that work in the store need to have proper identification so that they are not mistaken for other people from nowhere. So they need to be able to identify themselves. Then also, of course, also you need to have a system that identifies items that come into the store. Even the goods need to have proper identification. And this one, we looked at it in coding of goods. That is marking goods with specific codes that allow identification when the items are being delivered or received. Very important. So those three key issues are very important as far as security of the store is concerned. So the security system must be made around all those key areas. Custody of the keys, access to the stores, and identification for those who come into the stores. Now, we also have administrative systems and procedures concerning security. I said administrative systems and procedures concerning security is that before one gets to the store or accesses the store, then there are procedures that are put in place to allow them to, or to allow them to access the store, for example. In other words, procedures for accessing the store must be clearly stated, clearly put in place to allow anyone who wants to access the stores. Another thing is authorization. Authorization is also an administrative aspect whereby there's one who with the express authority from that particular person. Maybe there's the storekeeper, or maybe the stores manager, or maybe someone responsible for handling all materials may be the one to give security, or maybe the one to give authorization for access of the stores, or even for picking items or receiving items. One must have authorization before an item is retrieved from the stores to the user department, for example. It must be authorized by a particular person. So that's very important aspect that you need to remember. When it comes to the issue of fire prevention and firefighting equipment, in most cases you find that fire prevention can be done by putting in place the measures that would prevent fire outbreak, ensuring that all the sockets are properly made, properly done, that all the connections of mains electricity are done well, and that items are well kept and well stored to avoid incidences of fire. And as you remember, when we were talking about materials kept in the store, we looked at some of materials that can pose danger or threat to the storekeepers and the users of the store. Is that items that are flammable need to be clearly marked, clearly identified, and kept in a place where they cannot pose a risk or to any other item or to the users of the stores. So proper storage of items, clearly marking and identifying items that are flammable, and ensuring that the storehouse is spacious enough or less congested that can create a scenario where when fire breaks out, it becomes difficult to control. Of course, ensuring that a storehouse is constructed in such a way that it is detached from main buildings, especially where industrial facilities or factories are, where fire from other buildings can reach the storehouse. So ensure that the storehouse is well detached so that any fire from neighboring building or neighboring facility may not necessarily reach the store and destroy goods. So in many cases, you want the fire prevention equipment like fire extinguishers. You find that there are fire extinguishers which can be used to extinguish fire when there is fire. In the event of fire, you need to position them in places where they can be accessible. Secondly, we have hydrants. Hydrants are a connection of water pipes which comes with high pressure. They are normally fitted in strategic places. In case of fire, they can be used to control that particular fire. Of course, access to the storehouse, also access, for example, access to by road or by open pavement, open areas need to be taken into consideration so that when firefighting equipment are brought, it is easy to access the building. Then, of course, there must also be a fire area or an open area where, in case of fire, there would be employees and workers would be expected to gather in that particular place in order to account for themselves, for them. And of course, very important, there must be fire exits. Fire exits may not necessarily be the staircase, may not necessarily be the lifts, for example, in a building, but an alternative, maybe escape routes, maybe doors or staircases that can be used to exit a building when fire breaks out. So those are very important, necessary fire fighting and prevention measures that can be taken into consideration. Are we together? You can type yes if we are together. Additionally, what I also wanted us to look at is safety of stock. Now we have looked at security measures, custody of key, access to store identification, administrative measures, fire prevention and fighting. But now we want to look at the safety of the stock, the material, the goods that are kept in the store. How can we ensure that they are safe? We need to ensure their safety in terms of keeping them in good condition. So the first thing we're going to look at is to prevent deterioration of materials. Deterioration of materials is where materials loses its value, maybe because it has expired, or because it is damaged, or because maybe it has come into contact with the contaminants. Contaminants like maybe if it is liquid, maybe some substances or foreign bodies get into that item. So how do you prevent materials from deteriorating, getting into a condition where it is no longer usable, no longer appropriate for the particular use that is expected? So that is one key. How do you ensure that materials are safe, safe from deterioration? Secondly, we ensure safety from climatic conditions. For example, safety from rains, rainwater, for example, safety from flood, safety from the elements like sunshine, safety from storm or maybe runoff, for example. Like there are items when they are kept exposed to the sun, it can destroy or reduce their value. If items get in contact with water, maybe rainwater, it will ruin them and make them unusable. So it is important to ensure that any element of the climate or the weather is prevented from destroying items, so that items that need not get into contact with water need to be placed under covered roofs. They need to be lifted up above the ground so that any water that spills on the ground or flood water may not be able to reach them. And any element that which is the weather in nature cannot cause damage to those items. Another key safety issue, you don't hear me. What is the problem? When did you stop hearing me? Is it right now, or you still not hearing? Huh? Unmute and talk to me. You are hearing or you are not?
You are currently the only person in this conference.
You are hearing or not? Good, let's continue. Safety from pilferage. Pilferage is theft of item by the staff who works at the store. Therefore, it is important to prevent pilferage of items so that items can remain in the safe custody of in the storehouses. Prevention of insects and animals from destroying items. Prevention of insects and animals from destroying items. This is important because ensure that animals do not access where goods and items have been stored. Ensure that animals do not get access by closing openings, by closing. Are you hearing me? By closing openings.
Yes,
You are hearing me well.
Yes.
Good. So I was talking about, when did you stop hearing me? Yes, I see that pilferage is theft or loss of items. Huh? From? Okay, let's continue. I said pilferage is where items are stolen by the staff that work in the store, for example. How do you prevent it? Ensure that you check, you inspect, you ensure that you check the staff member when they are leaving the organization. Ensure when they are leaving the storehouse, for example. Ensure that they do not come with containers or items that can conceal or hide products. Of course, also it is also important to ensure that they are people of integrity so that they maintain high level of integrity. Another thing is that use scanners so that it can detect items that have been hidden or concealed in the clothing of the workers. And also ensure that you employ security at the doors or at the gates so that they will always inspect and check whether one has taken an item without declaring the same. For insects and animals, we can say that it is important for animals, you need to seal or close any opening that may allow any animal to get into the store, or use anti-insect pesticides to control onto insects, do fumigation to kill any pest that may be around, ensure that any item that comes into the store is is safe and does not bring any foreign insect or animal that into the store. So inspect every item that comes into the store, and always maintain cleanliness so that it doesn't encourage rodents, it doesn't encourage any pest from thriving or hiding. Very, very important. Lastly, there is also what's called biological prevention. Biological prevention are related to any biological damage that may result from contamination of product through bacteria or viruses or fungal contamination. Contamination from bacteria, fungus, or viral tend to limit or lower product quality or damage products in such a way that they are not usable. So the key thing is to ensure that items are always kept in a clean environment. Those who are handling the products are known, and they must ensure cleanliness so as not to introduce any germs or any pathogen that may get in touch or in contact with items in the store. In most cases, biological contamination normally affects the food industry and items that are consumable that are meant for human or animal consumptions. So one of the key things also that need to be done is to ensure proper packaging of this product so that they don't get in contact with pathogens. Safety of storekeepers. Safety of storekeepers relates to ensuring that the storekeepers are safe as far as their work is concerned. The key thing that you need to remember is that they must have proper clothing. They need to have overalls, they need to have gloves, they need to have masks, especially when it comes to handling items that are of dangerous in nature, like chemicals, like chemical products or fumes. They need to have proper clothing. They need to be equipped with proper equipment to enable them to perform their work effectively and maintain their safety and security. And also mostly they need to have fire and first aid kits. First aid kits to deal with any accident that may arise within the storehouse or that they might get involved in, so they can be able to deal with any accident or any injury that may arise in their work as storekeepers. And of course, it is important to train them on ways of dealing with crisis or ways of dealing with issues to do with accidents, so that they know exactly what they're supposed to do. Basics of dealing with crisis or issues that might arise. Now, I think we are going to stop there, but I want to give you some work to do. The work I'm going to give you to do is to find out the legal requirements necessary to maintain safety in a store. Legal requirements that are necessary to maintain safety in the store. So these legal requirements, some of them you can get from the Kenyan Constitution, or some of the legal issues that have been prescribed by the responsible departments, government departments, like Safety and Health Act. The Safety and Health Act is very important. And Workman's Compensation Act. So look at those two, Safety and Health Acts. So go and read about this. And as an assignment, Safety and Health Act. Safety and Health Act. In fact, is an act of parliament under Kenyan law. Safety and Health Act. So look at that. Look at also Workman Compensation Act. This is where a workman must be compensated if they get injured in their workplace. So look at these two acts and write about some of the requirement and what those acts contain. I'm going to place right now an assignment segment where you are going to write those two, Safety and Health Act, and the same time Workman Compensation Act. So those two are what I'm going to ask you to do as your assignment, okay? Otherwise, is there any question up to that point? Any question up to the point? You have a question? You don't have any question?
Yes.
I'm reading to you that assignment, eh?
Yes, I will.
Yeah, so assignment, eh?
Yes, I will do the assignment. So where will I submit?
Here, you see what I'm making? What
Yes.
I'm doing right now, that will allow you to submit, eh? Safety
Okay.
and Act, and then also Workers' Compensation Act. So you can actually write them somewhere and then upload a file. Are we together? Are we together?
Yes.
You see,
Yes.
it will give you opportunity to get a file somewhere and drop it here or upload. Eh?
Yes.
So, make sure you don't write so many things. Eh? Just the key issues highlighted on those two acts, okay?
Yes.
Together.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. It's open, you can do it, and that will give you that opportunity. So if you don't have any more questions, then try to access this online platform, and the activities
Yes.
that have placed there. I'll start putting past paper. It's not the issue that I've not been meeting anyone. So I'll be putting past questions related to past papers there, and I'll notify you through email. Okay?
Okay.
You do them when you get the notification, right?
Yes.
Sawa.
Okay.
Very good. Very good. Now, I just want to encourage you again, work hard on these things. This is a unit that you can get a distinction if you give yourself and dedicate yourself, okay? Right.